China has introduced a strategy to advance its domestic payment system amid ongoing tensions with the United States over trade. Elon Musk has mentioned that Tesla's Optimus humanoid robots are encountering challenges due to China's restrictions on export. China has introduced a strategy to advance its domestic payment system amid ongoing tensions with the United States over trade. Elon Musk has mentioned that Tesla's Optimus humanoid robots are encountering challenges due to China's restrictions on exporting rare earth materials. China's CATL has announced that it has surpassed BYD's record for electric vehicle batteries by achieving a longer range with just a 5-minute charge.
Business of Fashion has announced that Chanel has appointed Kendrick Lamar as its new brand ambassador. In a related story, Anna Jean-Ylan has made history by becoming the first Chinese contestant to win MasterChef Italia, showcasing a remarkable fusion of cultural elements. The BBC has revealed plans for a new documentary titled P. Diddy, The Rise and Fall, which will be available on BBC Three and iPlayer. During the trial, the co-founder of Instagram claimed that Meta withheld necessary resources from his company. The chief of OpenAI mentioned that his company would be interested in acquiring Google's Chrome browser, while the Justice Department has requested a judge to consider breaking Google's search monopoly by mandating the sale of Chrome. Furthermore, Boeing has announced plans to sell portions of its aviation software division to Thoma Bravo for a total of $10.5 billion.
A recent study reveals that over 100 publicly traded software companies are experiencing significant pressure due to the rise of artificial intelligence. In the United States, an executive order has been drafted to establish a strategy for incorporating AI into the education system for K-12 students. A Columbia University student was expelled for developing an AI tool intended for cheating, but has since raised millions of dollars to transform this creation into a startup. According to Number 10, Starmer does not hold the belief that trans women are women, and the Equalities Minister has stated that trans women should utilize male restrooms. Wild chimpanzees have been observed sharing fruits that have undergone fermentation. California is on the verge of exhausting its supply of license plate numbers. Boeing has announced plans to sell portions of its aviation software division to Thoma Bravo for a sum of $10.5 billion.
Apple has removed the phrase available now from its Apple Intelligence webpage. According to a Reuters report, Huawei is preparing to launch a new AI chip for widespread distribution, as China looks for alternatives to NVIDIA, according to sources. SK Hynix, a supplier to NVIDIA, has surpassed Samsung to become the global leader in drum chips, driven by the surge in AI technology.
According to Bloomberg, Google has been paying Samsung significant amounts to facilitate installations of the Gemini AI application. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has stated that films created using artificial intelligence are eligible to win Oscars. Furthermore, The Washington Post has collaborated with OpenAI to improve access to news through the use of ChatGPT.
China and Egypt have initiated unprecedented joint air exercises, potentially altering the strategic landscape of the Middle East. Notably, China's KJ-500 radar aircraft has been deployed overseas for the first time in collaboration with Egypt. A U.S. spy drone with a 7,000-mile range has been equipped with a lethal laser weapon capable of destroying missiles in the air. Furthermore, a leaked memo from the U.S. advises its allies to avoid using Chinese satellite services.
Vance and Modi convened in New Delhi to deliberate on a trade agreement aimed at circumventing U.S. tariffs. The Financial Times highlights that India is facing tariff-related pressure to grant Amazon and Walmart's Flipkart comprehensive market access. Prime Minister Modi advocated for increased defense collaboration with Saudi Arabia, while Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman mentioned a potential $100 billion investment and expressed shared concerns about terrorism. This meeting is part of Modi's discussions with the Saudi Crown Prince regarding trade in oil. Furthermore, a source indicates that India plans to impose a temporary 12% tariff on steel to mitigate the influx of inexpensive imports from China. ARK Invest funds have become the first exchange-traded funds in the United States to incorporate exposure to Solana by utilizing 3iQ's staking ETF. Mantra has announced plans to destroy $160 million worth of OM tokens, with half of this amount coming from the founder of the decentralized autonomous organization, following a significant 90% decline in the token's price. The XRP Ledger Foundation has revealed a serious vulnerability in the latest version of the XRPL JavaScript library.
In the United States, the Education Department has announced that student loans that are in default will be sent to debt collection agencies. A school in Silicon Valley, which was funded by Mark Zuckerberg and intended for low-income families, is set to close its doors. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has proposed a budget that includes the layoff of more than 1,600 city employees.
SEC Chair Atkins emphasizes the importance of establishing a strong foundation for digital assets. Crypto casinos have generated over $80 billion as gamblers find ways to circumvent restrictions. Circle is developing a stablecoin-driven cross-border payment network, with crypto companies seeking bank charters, as Circle introduces a stablecoin orchestration layer. The Washington Post indicates that Trump's close associates are considering advocating.
The United States Treasury has imposed sanctions on a prominent liquefied petroleum gas industry. In the United Kingdom, the largest Jewish organization has expressed disapproval of Israel's military actions in Gaza. Israel has ceased referencing humanitarian zones as the conflict in Gaza continues to intensify.
Trump organizes a corporate-sponsored Easter egg roll, stating, "We're bringing religion back," while in the U.S., the Veterans Affairs Agency instructs employees to report colleagues for anti-Christian bias. Mississippi's governor announces April 2025 as Confederate Heritage Month. Trump supports a $5,000 baby bonus for new mothers to combat the declining birth rate, remarking, "Sounds like a good idea." Mother Jones comments on the possibility of Trump introducing a motherhood medal, an idea that gained popularity in Nazi Germany.
In the United States, Senator Marco Rubio has proposed a significant transformation of the State Department, which includes reducing its workforce and eliminating various bureaus. Concurrently, the State Department is planning to cut 15% of its domestic staff and close 132 offices. More than 150 college presidents have signed a letter criticizing the Trump administration for what they perceive as excessive actions. In the U.S., Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is preparing to launch a disease registry aimed at collecting medical records from numerous Americans to study autism.
UBS has reduced its predictions for smartphone and PC sales. UBS has reduced its predictions for smartphone and PC sales, while India is gaining prominence as a leader in production. In Japan, the Nintendo Switch 2 has received over 2 million entries for the My Nintendo Store lottery sale, surpassing all forecasts. The European Union is set to introduce new labels for smartphones that indicate battery life and repairability.
As YouTube celebrates its 20th anniversary, the platform announces that more than 20 trillion videos have been uploaded. The European Union has imposed a fine of €500 million on Apple and €200 million on Meta for violating Europe's digital regulations. Kotaku has reported that there is a community of players on Roblox who are recreating school shooting scenarios.
The Chinese Coast Guard asserts its sovereign jurisdiction over Sandy Cay in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, the Kenyan president is on a visit to China, marking a shift in the country's focus away from the United States. Additionally, China's military has labeled U.S. and Japanese destroyers as enemy vessels. Delhi, India, is considering reducing the sale of gasoline-powered cars and prohibiting the sale of fuel-inefficient motorcycles in an effort to reduce its reputation as a major polluter. Chinese electric vehicles are gaining a significant edge in the Russian market due to their advanced digital cockpits, according to vendors. At the Shanghai Auto Show, German and Japanese automakers are integrating Chinese artificial intelligence technology, while Tesla is waiting for approval from Beijing to introduce its full self-driving (FSD) system. Waymo has announced that it is providing 250,000 paid robotaxi rides each week in the United States.
Lockheed Martin is developing an enhanced version of the F-35 fighter jet to rival Boeing's F-47. China has introduced a drone equipped with a quantum device designed to detect submarines in the South China Sea. Japan has revealed a railgun capable of intercepting China's hypersonic missiles.
The Indian Army has eliminated 2 gunmen in Kashmir as the search for suspects intensifies following a tourist massacre. In response to the attack in Pahalgam, India has taken several actions, including closing the main border crossing with Pakistan, suspending the Indus Water Treaty, and cancelling visas for Pakistani nationals. Earlier, a manhunt was initiated after 26 tourists were killed by suspected militants in Kashmir. Pakistan has closed its airspace to Indian Airlines and issued a warning against any violation of the water treaty, as relations between the two countries continue to deteriorate. Pakistan has also cautioned that any attempt to cut off the supply of the Indus River would be considered an act of war.
An official has mentioned the possibility of China and Russia collaborating to construct a nuclear power plant on the moon, which would serve as an energy source for a lunar station. China has successfully launched the Shenzhou 20 spacecraft, which includes experiments with superconductors and measures to protect against space debris. Furthermore, President Trump has issued an executive order aimed at enhancing the deep-sea mining industry.
Trump criticizes Rupert Murdoch for Fox News' alleged bias and inaccurate polls following a survey showing his lowest approval ratings ever. A heated argument reportedly broke out in the West Wing between Musk and Bessent. The Trump Organization is marketing Trump 2028 merchandise, raising speculation about a potential third presidential run.
In Texas, USA, Governor Abbott has signed the first bill of the legislative session into law, establishing a Texas Doge. California has risen to become the world's fourth largest economy, overtaking Japan. The United States has allocated more than $500,000 towards YouTube advertisements aimed at deterring irregular migration. Apple faces accusations of promoting LGBT propaganda in Russia due to the inclusion of a rainbow flag wallpaper in its latest update. In the United States, the Department of Justice plans to probe physicians who offer transgender healthcare to minors, as announced by the Attorney General. The Meta Board has declared that videos criticizing transgender women do not constitute hate speech.
Trump coin experiences a significant 70% increase in value following a special dinner event organized by the president for the leading holders of the token. In a related development, regulators in the United States have decided to ease restrictions on banks engaging in cryptocurrency activities. The Securities and Exchange Commission has decided not to proceed with refiling a securities fraud case against Richard Hart, the founder of Hex.
A recent study has revealed that individuals who experience strokes have significantly elevated levels of microscopic plastics in their bodies. It has been reported that 1/3 of Malaysian children are currently overweight, a situation exacerbated by the country's growing addiction to sugar. Furthermore, there is a noticeable trend among Gen Z, where they are increasingly turning to their peers rather than medical professionals for guidance on health matters. During a court hearing, it was disclosed that Google Gemini boasts 350 million users each month. OpenAI anticipates its revenue will surpass $125 billion by 2029, driven by the introduction of agents and new products. Yahoo is prepared to acquire the Chrome browser if Google is compelled to sell, with the browser valued at $50 billion, according to DuckDuckGo's CEO, who shared this information in court. Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend Index report highlights the emergence of the frontier firm, signaling a significant shift in workforce dynamics, as the report suggests that you will soon be overseeing a team of AI agents.
Meta has introduced live translation capabilities for all users of its Ray-Ban smart glasses. Apple plans to remove its secretive robotics division from the AI chief's responsibilities shortly after relocating Siri. Rakuten Mobile and AST Space Mobile have achieved a groundbreaking milestone by conducting the first-ever video call in Japan using a low Earth orbit satellite and standard smartphones.
A significant breach occurred when over 21 million employees' screenshots were exposed from the Work Composer workplace surveillance application. An Android spyware, cleverly disguised as the Alpine Quest app, has been identified targeting devices used by the Russian military. Furthermore, Blue Shield of California inadvertently leaked the data of 4.7 million customers to Google. The owner of Mashable and PCMag has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI, claiming that the company has misappropriated their content. Character.ai has introduced Avatar FX, an innovative AI video model designed to produce chatbots that appear remarkably lifelike. There has been significant controversy as it was revealed that AI technology was covertly used to assist in writing the California bar exam, leading to widespread outrage.
The Internet Watch Foundation has expressed concern about a significant increase in child sexual abuse imagery hosted within the European Union, with 62% of all such web pages identified by the IWF in 2024 being linked to the Netherlands. The Wall Street Journal reports that Paramount is in discussions with the Federal Communications Commission regarding potential concessions on diversity policies as part of a merger. Oscar voters are being reminded of the importance of actually watching the nominated films.
Artificial intelligence surpasses virus specialists in laboratory settings, heightening concerns about biohazards. Harmful effects caused by gut bacteria might contribute to the increasing incidence of colon cancer among young individuals. A recent study suggests that the enigmatic Antikythera mechanism could potentially be a toy rather than a complex device. The BBC has introduced a satellite news channel in Myanmar following President Trump's decision to silence the Voice of America. Hanoi has refuted claims that Washington will ignore the Vietnam War commemoration. The New York Times reported yesterday that the U.S. has instructed its diplomats in Vietnam to steer clear of war anniversary events. The Wall Street Journal mentioned that Hegseth has threatened to administer a polygraph test due to a leak of a classified briefing intended for Musk. Science magazine has announced that the director of the National Science Foundation is stepping down following the cancellation of grants, reductions in employment, and surrounding controversies. A recent poll indicates that a higher percentage of Trump supporters believe in a connection between autism and vaccines compared to the broader public. Furthermore, the United States Department of Agriculture has decided to pull back a proposal aimed at reducing salmonella levels in raw poultry.
Charlie Chaplin's classic film Gold Rush is set to undergo a 4K restoration, which will be premiered at the Cannes Film Festival and released worldwide exactly 100 years after its original debut in 1925. GTA 5 has emerged as the most watched game on Twitch for the year 2024. Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos has expressed that the traditional movie theater model is becoming obsolete, arguing that a significant portion of the population cannot conveniently access a multiplex.
A leader from the Rwandan genocide, residing in a prestigious area of New York, has been taken into custody for suspected immigration offenses. The French Prime Minister has urged for stricter measures against knife violence following a deadly incident at a high school, where a student fatally injured one person and harmed 4 others. In the United States, former alleged members of a neo-Nazi group have asserted that their leader is an agent for Russia. This comes 20 days after The Guardian reported that a U.S. neo-Nazi group, led by someone based in Russia, has been advocating for targeted attacks on Ukraine.
The FBI has apprehended a Wisconsin judge for obstructing ICE agents, with Kash Patel and Trump's Attorney General indicating that this arrest is merely the start. The Trump Department of Justice has instructed ICE to enter homes without obtaining search warrants. Furthermore, Venezuelans facing removal under wartime regulations have a 12-hour window to challenge their situation. In another development, a judge in New Mexico and his wife have been arrested for allegedly concealing a Venezuelan gang member in their residence. North Korean cyber operatives established fake U.S. companies to deceive cryptocurrency developers.
A recent report indicates that military spending in East Asia has experienced its largest increase in the past 15 years. A government report has disclosed that the United States nuclear arsenal is projected to cost $946 billion over the next decade. Furthermore, U.S. analysts have expressed concerns that a Russian satellite associated with a nuclear weapon program seems to be out of control.
Trump asserts that American vessels should be permitted to navigate the Panama and Suez canals without incurring any fees. China has issued a warning to the United States, claiming that its deep-sea mining initiative contravenes international legal standards. Japan has initiated discussions with the United States regarding a one-theater strategy for the Indo-Pacific region, suggesting a unified approach to addressing security concerns in the Korean Peninsula, as well as the East and South China Seas.
Zimbabwe aims to achieve electrification for 3.1 million households and provide access.
The U.S. Treasury has achieved a record collection of $15 billion in customs and excise taxes, influenced by Trump's trade policies. China has reduced the minimum threshold for tax refunds for tourists to encourage increased spending. Trump has suggested significant federal tax cuts, asserting that tariffs will eventually replace income taxes. He also mentioned that the U.S. is in discussions with China regarding trade.
Research indicates that men tend to be more easily distracted by sexual imagery compared to women. A study has discovered that the use of psychedelics is associated with changes in sexuality, gender expression, and relationship dynamics. A weight loss study has shown that intermittent fasting with a 4-to-3 ratio is more effective than daily calorie restriction.
A health advisor from the White House has expressed concerns that weight loss medications are being aggressively marketed to children in the United States. In the realm of entertainment, appraisals suggest that populist leaders are gaining support. Neuroscientists have discovered that children's brains operate in distinct ways when they are reading books compared to
base to test air defenses, according to Poland. The CIA has announced that the son of one of its officials was killed while engaged in combat in Ukraine.
Pollution, which presents significant health dangers. A study has revealed that the consumption of ultra-processed foods in the United States is linked to 124,000 premature deaths over a 2-year period. Furthermore, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, in the U.S. is on the verge of revoking grants that were intended to safeguard children from exposure to toxic chemicals.
Researchers have successfully constructed the first ever black hole bomb in a laboratory setting. Scientists have engineered an artificial leaf capable of utilizing sunlight to generate valuable chemicals. Furthermore, researchers have achieved the milestone of growing teeth in a lab environment.
The United States engaged in discussions regarding the ongoing trade conflict, as confirmed by President Trump following a response from Beijing. According to Besant, while negotiations are taking place, China is calling for a reduction in tensions. Rollins reports that Trump is prepared to provide financial assistance to farmers who are feeling the impact of the trade war. A recent poll indicates that Trump's approval rating for his first 100 days in office is the lowest in 80 years. 2 months prior in the United States, Redfin reported that 14% of pending home sales were being canceled, marking the highest percentage during this period of the year on record. The head of the Swiss National Bank has dismissed the idea of using Bitcoin as a reserve asset. An official from the International Monetary Fund has stated that Germany's changes in fiscal policy will counteract the negative impact of trade starting in the year 2026. Italy's Mediobanca has initiated a bid valued at €6.3 billion to acquire Banca Generali.
Nike is facing a lawsuit due to the shutdown of its cryptocurrency business. Stripe is experimenting with a new stablecoin initiative as the cryptocurrency market, valued at $3.7 trillion, continues to grow. In the United States, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is believed to already possess sufficient authority to regulate the cryptocurrency sector, according to Atkins.
In Nigeria, a tribunal has mandated Meta and WhatsApp to pay a fine of $220 million to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, and an additional $35,000 within 60 days due to discriminatory practices. The head of Google's browser division informed a judge that only Google is authorized to operate Chrome. China is developing a space traffic management system in response to the growing number of commercial satellites.
According to Reuters, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is considering establishing a data center project in Brazil, as indicated by sources. Tencent Music is reportedly in negotiations to acquire Ximalaya for a sum of $2.4 billion. Furthermore, Elon Musk's company, XAI Holdings, is in talks to secure $20 billion in funding. This comes a month after Musk combined XAI and X to form XAI Holdings.
The U.S. Justice Department has decided to allow the seizure of media records in investigations related to leaks. Sources report that Hegseth made a threat to subject top military officials to a polygraph test. Furthermore, the Justice Department in the United States has stopped providing funding for various programs aimed at assisting victims of hate crimes, child abuse, school violence, and other issues.
Trump's associates have responded strongly to Politico's article suggesting that the White House is considering removing sanctions on Russian energy assets, specifically Nord Stream. For days prior, Politico published a report indicating that the White House is in discussions about potentially lifting these sanctions. China and the Philippines are displaying their flags on a contested sandbank in the South China Sea, while Philippine forces have landed on a disputed feature in the area. The Philippines claims that China has not taken control of the contested reef. In another development, Pakistani military forces have killed 54 militants who were trying to enter Pakistan from Afghanistan.
Rubio asserts that the sole resolution to the conflict in Ukraine lies in negotiations where both parties are willing to make concessions. Russia declares the full liberation of Kursk, acknowledges receiving assistance from North Korea, and North Korea verifies sending troops to Russia, praising them as heroes. Trump suggests that Putin might not be interested in peace and could require a different approach to be dealt with. The White House has announced that President Trump is set to sign an executive order providing partial relief from auto tariffs. According to the South China Morning Post, Walmart has instructed certain Chinese suppliers to begin shipping products again, as reported by sources. A Reuters poll indicates that South Korea's exports are expected to decline due to the impact of Trump's tariffs.
Researchers have unearthed the most ancient ant fossil ever found, a 113-million-year-old hell ant that was encased in rock in Brazil. A novel theory in quantum optics suggests that classical interference is a result of the interaction between bright and dark states of light. Furthermore, a Soviet Venus lander that was unsuccessful in its mission is expected to re-enter Earth's atmosphere after being left in space for 53 years.
Israeli intelligence chief Ronan Bar resigns shortly after Prime Minister Netanyahu instructed for his dismissal. The United States imposes sanctions on a Chinese and Iranian network that provides missile propellant materials to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Pakistan intercepts an Indian drone following a nuclear warning, with Reuters reporting that Pakistan's defense minister warns of an impending military incursion by India.
China is working on an underwater Beidou network, aimed at enhancing navigation and tracking capabilities. A year ago, it was announced that China would construct a next-generation Beidou system, with plans to conduct test satellite launches in 2027 and complete the system by 2035. Taiwan has established a platform to coordinate responses to disruptions in undersea cables. Somalia has prohibited Taiwan passport holders from entering the country, referencing the One China policy.
HSBC announces a $3 billion stock repurchase following a first-quarter profit that exceeded expectations. UBS reports a first-quarter profit that surpassed forecasts, although the impact of Trump's tariffs raises concerns about the future outlook. In April, China's factory activity fell to a level not seen in nearly 2 years due to the effects of trade tariffs. The Wall Street Journal discusses the growing distance between Sam Altman and Satya Nadella, who were instrumental in sparking the contemporary AI revolution. Mark Zuckerberg declares that the era of social media is coming to an end. Starbucks is enhancing its store workforce by hiring more baristas and reducing its reliance on machines as part of its ongoing revitalization efforts. A Google report indicates a slight decrease in zero-day exploitation compared to the previous year. France has accused Russian intelligence of conducting numerous cyber attacks since 2021. Cloudflare has reported that in the first quarter of 2025, it successfully blocked 20.5 million DDoS attacks, marking a significant rise of 358% year-over-year and 198% quarter-over-quarter.
IBM plans to allocate $150 billion to the United States over the next 5 years to support its advancements in quantum technology. TMC has filed an application to engage in deep-sea mining activities, adhering to U.S. legal regulations. Israel is proposing a trade concession to the United States in an attempt to mitigate the impact of potential tariffs. NPR has disclosed that employees of Doge have obtained access to secure networks containing sensitive nuclear information. San Francisco and Santa Clara are taking legal action against Trump due to the Doge-influenced dismissals of federal employees. Furthermore, top Democrats claim that Trump's administration has caused disruptions affecting approximately $430 billion in federal funding.
A Senate report indicates that Elon Musk's involvement with Dogecoin presents conflicts of interest valued at $2.37 billion. Reductions in Doge prices could potentially allow Musk's companies to sidestep $2 billion in liabilities. The New York Post mentions that Musk has ceased working from the White House, with communications now conducted via phone. The Paramount Board has opened a potential avenue for resolving Trump's lawsuit against 60 Minutes. In another development, Senator Hawley has reintroduced the Pelosi Act, aiming to prohibit Congress members from engaging in stock trading.
China's military is swiftly increasing its deployment of affordable AI-driven drones in a strategic and gradual advancement. In 2024, global military expenditures reached an unprecedented $2.7 trillion, marking the most significant increase since the Cold War era. India has finalized a $7.4 billion agreement with France for the acquisition of Rafale fighter jets. An official has announced that Donald Trump will be signing an order that necessitates the compilation of a list of sanctuary cities and states. Trump has made a promise to establish a new legal team to support police officers. Furthermore, an executive order is expected to be signed by Trump, which will require truckers.
PayPal is set to introduce programmatic advertisements that utilize shopping data to enhance targeting. Furthermore, artificial intelligence has contributed to uncovering a potential cause of Alzheimer's disease and has identified a promising therapeutic option.
Pew Research Center reveals that most Americans anticipate AI will negatively impact news and journalists. Researchers conducted a large-scale, unauthorized AI persuasion experiment on Reddit users, prompting Reddit to issue formal legal demands against those involved. Furthermore, Pew highlights that while free expression is considered crucial worldwide, not everyone believes their country guarantees press, speech, and internet freedoms.
A new series titled Wisteria Lane, a spin-off from Desperate Housewives, is being developed by Onyx with Kerry Washington and Natalie Chaidez involved. Brad Pitt is set to star in A24's adaptation of The Writers, directed by Edward Berger, known for Conclave. A review by the BBC on bullying has concluded that there is no evidence of a toxic culture, although it acknowledges that the actions of a few individuals have an outsized impact on the organization's reputation and morale.
Jack Black's brief 34-second anthem titled Steve's Lava Chicken, inspired by the popular game Minecraft, has achieved the remarkable feat of becoming the shortest song to make its way into the Hot 100 chart. Kanye West has made headlines by releasing a previously lost album, Donda 2, on various streaming platforms. In a separate incident, a man who found himself stranded on Mount Fuji was airlifted to safety, only to be rescued once more a few days later when he returned to retrieve his phone.
Hegseth takes pride in terminating a program focused on women and security that was signed into law by Trump. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is set to cancel nearly 800 grants aimed at environmental justice, as disclosed in a court filing. Harvard University is committing to reforms after internal reports highlighted issues of anti-Semitism and anti-Arab bias. The university's president has expressed regret following these reports, which also include allegations of Islamophobia and a Trump administration investigation into the Harvard Law Review for potential race-based discrimination. Harvard is restructuring its diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) office in response to pressure